Hey everyone, this is Nick from the Botch Pit. Today we're going to be talking about World of Darkness Immortals, a source book for the Chronicles of Darkness. For many thousands of years, humans have dreamed of extending their lives and eliminating the inevitability of aging and death. This isn't just a reflection of mythology, let's say the Fountain of Youth. It is bound within human history. There are countless examples of people who attempted to obtain some form of physical immortality, from kings and sages in ancient China who drank exotic potions laced with mercury to the wealthiest residents of the First World who froze themselves in hopes of future resurrection. However, tales of immortality are cautionary, and those willing to transcend their morality by transcending their humanity are willing to sacrifice everything to achieve their goal. But what might a person do if they were to actually obtain immortality? In legends and stories, gaining a longer lifespan often requires the death of other humans in order to expand one's life. Immortality is not merely an end in and of itself. It is a new way of life, one with potentially no end. Now, imagine living as someone with immortality, or as the World of Darkness defines it, an immortal. As people around you age, decay, and die, you continue to live on forever. And after a few centuries of watching this, would you value their finite mortal lives more or less? How would you cope with countless decades of potential loved ones lost? How long would it take for you to become numb to these feelings, let alone the world itself? If you're required to kill them to remain immortal, how long would it take you to view them as nothing more than prey? World of Darkness Immortals examines the various paths to immortality as well as the significant price attached for it. No matter which method you take, however, you will slowly descend into a monster of chaos. World of Darkness Immortals is divided into 4 chapters. Chapter 1, Blood Bathers, reveals the harshest and most direct method of immortality, stealing the life of another by bathing in their blood. Chapter 2, Body Thieves, explores the lives of mortals who extend their lives by stealing others' bodies. Chapter 3, The Purified, are once mortal beings who discovered a ritual to allow them to return from death as a fully deathless being tied to the Shadow Realm. Chapter 4, Immortal Lives, is a section dedicated for storytellers that discusses immortals that extend their own lives by hunting other immortals that serve as powerful allies and incredibly potent antagonists. Chapter 1, Blood Bathers. Blood Bathers gain their immortality from a mystical power present in the blood of human beings. Using a ritual handed down through thousands of years of occult traditions, a blood bather can remain young, strong, healthy, and beautiful, perhaps indefinitely. Of course, the problem is that in order to gain this benefit, the blood has to come from somewhere, and more specifically, someone. That's right, it has to be human, and their victim must always be snuffed out, unlike vampires who could potentially get away with the blood of animals and leaving their victims alive. The theory behind why this works is due to the belief that inherent in the blood of a living human being is the connection to their life. This is not to be confused with the person's soul, as that contains much more of the victim's personality, knowledge, and unique perspective. The bathing ritual drains a person's living essence, and the bather absorbs these life-giving properties, leaving only inert blood behind. Now, it is said that any person willing to become immortal that understood the ritual and was callous enough to murder for it could technically achieve immortality. However, they must also have the will to make it work to take full effect. The power of blood is undeniable. Almost every civilization has a legend about a blood-drinking creature, deity, and sacrifice that involves spilling blood. Some involve spilling someone's own blood, while others are from another living being. Researchers, as a result, in the World of Darkness, can be from all around the world, who search for scrolls, ancient texts, and so on to create their own individual bathing rituals. As such, there is no one singular bathing ritual, but an array of variants that are presented for each individual character. Could one ritual work the same for one character as another? Potentially, but highly unlikely, as each has a different will for different likes. Storytellers can handle research if they would like, as described in the core book, but this book also lists additional ways to handle it, and ultimately, that's up to you to decide. Blood bathers are extremely rare in the World of Darkness for obvious reasons. Most are even seen as mass murderers, with authorities tracking them without even knowing what they are. As such, there are no societies of blood bathers. However, different groupings can exist. When a group of people discover the ritual in tandem, they have more advantages than a lone blood bather does. First, they can assist each other in finding blood, and help diminish all the negative consequences that brings with it. Second, a bloodbath can be shared. Ugh, that's so gross. So even though more blood is needed in total, it's significantly less than each would need individually. Finally, a group of blood bathers can resist derangements that a single immortal could not, as they help convince each other what they are doing is perfectly fine. 3 typical forms of groups exist. The first is mentor and student, where the bloodbather keeps students along in some way of teaching them or for some other twisted scenario later down the line. The second is cults, with the bloodbather and several hang-ons to be used as pawns for the bathing ritual. The third is coalitions, which is bloodbathers that have banded together in some way. Within this section also lists how other supernaturals within the world of darkness would look toward these individuals who cheat death through stealing their victim's blood. It's usually unfavorable, but without going into too much detail here, it could provide interesting story arcs for all the core books, but also other supplements such as Slasher, which even this book recommended in a crossover. In terms of creating a bloodbather character, some amendments need to be made from typical character creation. First off, these characters only have one concern: to construct the bathing ritual, which we'll discuss soon. Secondly, morality/integrity begins at 5, not 7 like normal characters due to the acts they are willing to commit, and this can even be lowered for additional experience points as well. Thirdly, they receive 10 experience points. Finally, due to the ritual requiring bloodbathers to expend a dot of willpower to work, their willpower rating begins at resolve plus composure -1. As for the bathing ritual, this can be a little harder to understand. The ritual itself is composed of 5 facets: blood, bath, preparation, frequency, and effects. Each one of these facets has detailed options below them that are assigned a value. Rituals need to be assembled in a certain way that the total ends up equating to 0 to ensure there are both advantages as well as disadvantages. The bath facet refers to the physical setting of the ritual. The blood facet refers to the source of the blood, but not the mixing or extraction of it. That is where the preparation facet comes in, as the blood needs to be treated in some way before the ritual to be useful. The frequency facet refers to how often these individuals must perform it, and finally the effects facet is all the advantages and disadvantages given to the character besides immortality after performing the ritual. Due to the nature of this character and how quickly morality or integrity will drop to 0, and once it drops to 0 it is considered in the Chronicles of Darkness rules to no longer be a player's character but a storyteller's character due to derangements, effects, and so on, this may be a rule you would consider bending. For storytellers, bloodbathers play a very specific role in Immortals for certain aspects of storytelling. These include themes and motifs such as desperation, visceral horror, forbidden truth, addiction, narcissism, and human worth. For players, they also include how to live day-to-day lives as these characters, with sections such as victim selection, travel, money, alternate identities, and body disposal. Really controversial stuff. Chapter 2: Body Thieves. Body thieves obtain their immortality by, you guessed it, stealing another person's body. Whether this is from old age, envy, or any host of reasons, these individuals seek to take those that they want. How many times have you heard the expression, "If only I was a little younger"? Body thieves fit into 3 categories. The mentally talented body thief uses will and thought alone to transfer their soul from one body to the next in the race against mortality. Societies and groups include the club and the seekers of knowledge. The magically talented body thief has found or been taught dark magic that can shuffle their consciousness from one body to another. However, they must either find a soulless body or kill the original body to make the transfer permanent. Societies and groups include the Avalon House and the Archer family. Oddities are those rare individuals who come from seemingly nowhere that have methods that defy easy terminology. These are more often associated with storyteller characters. However, players may use them with discretion. In terms of these societies, there are many solitary individuals, but within this type of character model, networks matter, and oftentimes body thieves have a very extensive networks of like-minded individuals. Now, let's discuss character creation. Due to the nature of body thieves stealing others' bodies, it's no wonder they also suffer from incredibly low morality, much like the bloodbathers with an absolute disregard for human life. Next, select a talent. The mentally talented, the magically talented, or oddities. Select or create a society. Under each talent lists examples of societies that the body thief may be part of. These include many advantages and weaknesses listed with them as well. Many also include deep discounts on merits that society needs to function. When discussing the actual act of body snatching, whose attributes, skills, and merits are used? What transfers to the thief and what stays behind? Note, this section is up to the storyteller's discretion, of which that makes story sense and more importantly, what makes your players happy. The mind, personality, and soul are considered one with the body thief and travels with them in this transference. The body in this case is just that: biological functions and external appearance. How would this work mechanically? The thief will maintain mental and social attributes and skills in the transfer, including specialties. Mental merits stay the same, however social may need some figuring out, as, say, your contacts have no idea who you are. Also, exceptions can occur such as striking looks, which stays with the body itself. As for physical attributes and skills, taking into account these probably are rote muscle memory functions are given to the body thief. Now, you can discuss it with your storyteller how you would want to handle certain merits, such as fighting styles, which are half body and half mind, and implement such rules as you can only get half the dots that individual had. Or, for example, you could buy them all back at half experience. Regardless, this should be somewhat fluid, and being fluid is a good stance to have, because in the case of, say, a quick transfer, do all these mechanics really matter that much? Also note that body thieves have no inherent resistance to the supernatural powers, and wouldn't be able to heal in any way a human couldn't, and as such, their damage is permanent. As an amendment, this should also be fluid by what character they have taken over as well. If they lose a limb, getting a new body becomes a quick priority. As for merits, each thief takes a core defining merit of the society they are in for free, as well as having a host of merits available to them at the end of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Purified. Some who seek to prolong their lives look beyond methods of simply keeping their bodies young and attempt to find some way to transform themselves into something truly deathless. A few mortals learn some of the mysteries of the Shadow Realm and the spirits who inhabit it. Spirits are naturally ageless immortal beings that can also survive the destruction of their ephemeral bodies so long as they retain some essence, which is magical energy. Occasionally, mystics and scholars who study spirits find or discover secrets that give mortals something akin to the immortality of spirits. Those that survive this risky procedure are known as the Purified. The process of becoming a Purified is complex. However, the first crucial step is always death. If the person has prepared themselves correctly, the power of the ritual transforms their mind and body. Once dead, their mind makes its way successfully back to the body, and when it re-enters, they are now one of the Purified. In this state, their mind has been transmuted into a more rare and enduring state and has been forever tied to the Shadow Realm. More importantly, their body has become ageless and can be easily reanimated by their mind if it is ever killed again. The history of the Purified is a very strange one and can almost be seen as a fortunate accident. Although there exist tales of original practices involving many months of meditation, thaumaturgy, and locuses, the two most commonly used methods of purification are known as the inner path and outer path. As a quick definition, a locus is a pool or coming together of ephemeral energy that spirits feed from. To use the inner path, the character must meditate and spiritually prepare themselves for many months or years. Then, at least one assistant is needed to begin special ritual preparations as the character is either dying or preparing to kill themselves. After the character's death, the assistant must continue these rituals by painting symbols on the person's corpse, dressing it in special garments, and placing the corpse in a locus. Once these preparations are complete, the individual must meditate, pray, or chant for days on end. The outer path requires no meditation or spiritual disciplines, but the character must formulate and then create a special elixir composed of ingredients including deadly toxins as well as their own blood. Devising this formula takes months or years of work, and actually creating it is incredibly difficult. Almost all of this work has to be attempted solo, and the individual must also drink the elixir as well. There are no trial runs, and there can't be any missteps, as this formula is a deadly poison in addition to a catalyst of immortality. Once consumed, it transforms the character's mind and soul, while also transforming the character's body into a locus. Yes, this means they don't need to be moved to one. Also, don't let medical intervention get in the way of you becoming immortal. If you're saved, you aren't granted immortality. Regardless of the path, the character's mind is connected to the Shadow Realm and have kinship with the entities that inhabit it. The transformation also changes the character's body, suspending it so that it hovers between life and death. Until the character's mind returns, it has similar medical effects to someone in a coma and does not rot nor require food, water, and so forth. For a character's mind to return, it takes a minimum of 3 days to years, as it can't see into the mortal world, but can identify the locus where its body is located. However, oftentimes it is placed incredibly far away from it. When the mind returns to the body, the character miraculously springs back to life, and during this process, returns to their peak of health and fitness. In addition to instantly healing all illnesses and injuries, their body now appears as it once did in their their early 20s. From that point on, the body of the Purified heals more rapidly than normal and eventually completely ceases to age. Funny enough, this also removes all scars, tattoos, piercings, and other markings without a trace, as their new body is rendered perfect and eternal. If they want to keep these markings, they need to spend a point of willpower to draw a sigil on the mark to make it stay. The Purified can also send their mind out of their body to gather essence, which they need to power their abilities. If the character's body is ever killed, the mind is then thrown again into the Shadow Realm. By entering any locus, their mind can now reappear in Twilight at the site of their body and use essence to repair it and return it to life. No matter how badly the body of a Purified has been damaged, the character can repair and reanimate it with sufficient expenditure of essence. The bodies of the Purified are truly immortal. Not only do they not age, their bodies also can't be permanently killed. However, what can be killed are the minds of the Purified when they are in this transfer state. Also, if a character's mind is ever drained of all its essence and then killed, the Immortal is permanently dead. However, while they can be destroyed, Purified can recover from almost any attack upon either mind or body, making them among the most resilient inhabitants of the World of Darkness. In addition to that, they are also among the oldest beings in the World of Darkness, some ranging thousands of years old. Due to this, many younger Purified believe that older Purified are no longer even partially human, and that somehow have been either devoured or replaced with spirits. Others use them as mentors, as those who have survived this long know, well, just how to survive this long. In the mortal world, Purified are completely cordial to one another despite no active societies. However, in the Shadow Realm, that's somewhat different. As Purifieds make friends with greater spirits in the Shadow Realm for protection, those spirit rivalries carry over into the Purified. When two Purified meet, most are unsure if they are making a trusted ally or bitter enemy. Also to note, because of their relationship to the Shadow Realm, there is often bitter and occasionally violent interactions between Purified and werewolves. Now, let's talk about character creation. First of all, make sure your character's story or reasoning for wanting to become a Purified makes sense. Second, because of the occult studies needed to become Purified, take at least one dot in occult. Let's assume at this point your character has died and returned back to their body. Because of this action, they gain an additional dot in occult and 5 more free skill dots to spend. Also, they gain 4 dots in Purified powers, known as City. Of these 4, 1 dot must be spent on spirit projection, but the other 3 are available to use for other Purified powers or Numina. Purified also gain an additional 3 dots in merits to be used as well, making their total 10, not 7, just like Bloodbathers. For even greater sweetness, they also gain free merits that are granted once they apply the Purified template. The Purified also have innate abilities as well. For healing, they are immune to all diseases, gain +2 bonus to resist all poisons, and heal significantly more than normal humans. 1 bashing damage is recovered every 5 minutes, lethal damage is 1 point every 4 hours, and aggravated damage is 1 point every 12 hours. However, don't be greedy though. They can't take merits that make them heal any faster than this. Other abilities include seeing and hearing spirits, as they have dual existence in the mortal and shadow realms. They can also speak to them, albeit in the inhuman language of spirits that sounds like whispers and babbles to mortals. Purified also possess a version of unseen sense that allows them to sense the presence of any phenomena related to spirits and supernatural powers. However, this is not for, say, presence of vampires or werewolves. As part of the Purified template, they gave 1 dot of an ability called Chi, which represents their connection to and power over essence. Additional dots can be purchased in Chi as well for 8 experience per dot. Because their minds and souls have been transformed into something like a spirit, they can use essence like a spirit can as well. Regarding essence and resurrection, the book goes into incredible detail in regards on how essence is gathered, spent, and so on. Again, depending on the story being told, you can go incredibly direct with these rules or go as loose as you'd like. As mentioned before, the Purified have their own unique powers known as City, which costs 7 experience per dot. All City comes in groups of 3 and need to be learned in order. For example, to learn a 3-dot City, one must know both the 1-dot and 2-dot City of the same group. Most City cost 1 point of essence to activate. However, if that cost exceeds the allocation a character can do in that turn, it may take multiple turns and the effect will happen on the last turn completed. There is also a mystical connection modifier table to enable if you so choose with this as well. Another modifier is the Gauntlet, the mystical barrier that lies between the mortal realm and the supernatural realms of the Shadow Realm and Underworld. The strengths listed and how to implement them are also in this section as well. Powers are divided into a few broad categories: command, piercing the distance, projection, shifting, spiritual defense, and summoning. Also, in addition to the purified merits mentioned in the book, they are also able to purchase merits from Werewolf the Forsaken, Fetish and Totem, Mage the Awakening, Imbued Items and Library, World of Darkness, Reliquary, Relic, and a host of different options from Book of Spirits. As for Storytellers, possible roles that Purify could lead are spiritual agents in the mortal world, protectors of humanity, power brokers, and explorers of the Shadow Realm. Chapter 4: Immortal Lives. This section is designed for storytellers that discusses immortals that extend their own lives by hunting other immortals that serve as powerful allies and incredibly potent antagonists. For this guide, I'm really not going to stress this section. However, if you would like inspiration how to hook players into your games with immortals, I would use this as a first place to start to get ideas. In conclusion, Immortals are incredibly odd characters to even begin handling, and we hope that this guide helped illuminate some of the intricacies regarding not only the background on these individuals, but also how to construct them. As for our games, we have a certain controversial character that has been teased as being an Immortal for the better part of a year now. Given all this information on how long it takes to become fully purified, I fully expect to see Miss Vivian Milikova to make an Immortal appearance very soon in our Chronicles game as it ramps up for the final arc ending in June. The question is, will everyone else be as excited to see her again? I doubt it.
They hate to see me leave, but they love to watch me go. But don't worry, darling. I'll be back, and I'll be more beautiful than you last remember.
This has been Nick from the Botch Pit. Thank you.